When I say spells, I'm specifically referring to the right half of the hexen table. The left half is player skills, the right half is spells. This distinction is arbitrary, but it's the correct kind of arbitrary because it agrees with me. With that out of the way, most of the game's spells can be learned the same way, through the hexen table or from rare scrolls. You need to raise affinity with an old god to use the hexen table, and if you don't know how to do that, I have a video on that. You also need to get soul stones to actually get the skill. Soul stones seem scarce, but I have a video about how to get infinite soul stones and how to get 15 free. If you check the video description, there's even more free ones listed. First, you have the Grogoroth spells. Pyromancy Trick does 200 damage and has a 60% chance to burn. According to the wiki, it has 70% chance... What? It has 92% accuracy, almost the same as most weapons. It's pretty poor at direct damage, but since burns deal 10% of the target's maximum hit points per turn, which, due to some odd choices in the game, means it kills almost any torso after 3 turns. It's a fantastic spell for killing bosses, but pretty bad for normal combat. Also, it won't damage ghosts, but will set the ghosts on fire for some reason. Blood Golem costs 20 hit points to cast, or 5 with Greater Blood Magic, and summons a Blood Golem to your party. It's an auto-battler that has 200 body and an attack stat of 80. He doesn't have fire resistance. What? Wiki, what are you smoking? Because it takes a turn to set up, it's not very good for normal enemies, but it's perfectly worthwhile as a party member. If you don't have a full party, or someone died in the fight, he's a great guy to summon. If you want to keep him in your party, fight the old knight armor, summon him, then run away from the fight using the menu run and not the skill run. Blood Golem will stay in your party until the next fight. Necromancy lets you resurrect ghouls and skeletons as permanent party members if you pass a coin flip. Temporary ally. Wiki. If you have greater blood magic, you automatically pass the coin flip. Ghouls kind of suck because they can't use weapons or armor, but anything that hits them is something that didn't hit someone important. Skeletons are absolutely amazing and you should have as many in your party as possible. The only two-handed weapon they can equip is the bone shears, but they can equip everything else. They're also immune to a vast list of status effects, including madness, hunger, fear, poison, and bleeding. They can also totally safely use the miasma. You can recruit ghouls on the entrance half the time, one in the 3rd floor prison, and one in the house connected to the Grand Library in Mahabra. You can recruit skeletons in Basement 2, Floor 7, and Mahabra near the Temple of Torment. Oh, and if you have extra skill scrolls, consider giving them to your undead. They can use them, and will use them intelligently. One time I taught a skeleton Loving Whispers, and he was the only reason I survived getting stun-locked. Hurting deals exactly 350 damage. That's it. The wiki calls this potent damage, but you get something stronger for the same soulstone cost if you curse a longsword. And longswords don't cost mind. If you have greater blood magic, it costs 10 mind instead of 40. You could reduce the cost to 0 and it still wouldn't be worth using. Like cursed weapons, it deals otherworldly damage and can hurt ghosts. Black Orb is the only spell locked behind 3 tiers of affinity, and it's probably worth it. It hits for 160 damage 3 times at the low cost of 20 mind. It's the 2nd strongest spell in terms of direct damage, and since it makes 3 attacks, it's incredible for headshots. It deals otherworldly damage and kills minor ghosts in 1 cast. Next up, we have the Sylvian spells. Loving Whispers heals a single target for 80 hit points. Simple, powerful, effective. Works outside of battle, too. If you have a steady supply of alcohol, you don't have to worry about running out of hit points. Injuries? Doesn't restore limbs or status effects. What? What injuries is this talking about? Pheromones is a spell that seems useless at first. Pick a party member, and every enemy part attacks that one party member. While you can use this to get rid of party members you don't like, you can also have that one party member spam guard to keep their limbs on and reduce damage by half. Or you can summon a blood golem, cast pheromones on that, and have 200 body worth of preventative healing. Great spell, but requires some thought to use. Healing Whispers heals the whole party for 35. Simple, powerful, effective, works outside of battle. It's the only multi-target way to heal in the whole game. Almer has only one spell in the Hexen because most of his spells are secret. Blood Portal enables fast travel between ritual circles. It's second only to Dash for convenience and stretches out your resources way further. It's easy to get too, so I almost always learn it. Depth is the only god without secret spells and my personal favorite skill tree. Mastery over insects is a weird one. It lets you talk to the cockroaches and flies you find around the dungeon. Most of the time this is just lore, but a few roaches will give you useful items. One of the roaches will give you infinite blue vials. If you find Alchemia Volume 3, you can combine those into light blue vials that heal you for 80. Meaning that late game, this spell is just a way better version of Loving Whispers that costs 0 mind and anyone can use it. You can complete the Cockroach King side quest with it, and if you talk to scarabs, you can pacify them. It also makes the tiles where the ground is swarming with insects totally safe. Normally, you take damage. Needleworm is probably the weakest spell in the skill tree, but it can be a godsend to new players. It hits 2 random limbs 3 times for 2 damage per hit, then heals you for that much. Or, to put it more simply, it hits 2 parts for 6, then heals you for 12. It's cheap to spam, so new players can stretch their hit points far. It's the only source of leech-type damage in the game, which means it can't hurt ghosts. And about nothing else. It doesn't cause infections or parasites, so if you saw that on the wiki, let this be a lesson to why you should listen to me instead. Locust Swarm does 10 damage to all enemy parts and stuns them for 2 turns. Simple, effective, great way to keep yourself alive while you either run or your party dismantles the enemy. Flock of Crows hits 3 times for 70 damage. If any of those hits land on the head, the target gets blinded. Eye damage? You mean blindness? Most of the time, you'll aim for the head and instantly kill it, and realize that you're basically just Crowmauler now. It's more expensive than Black Orb, but just as powerful for headshots. Against targets with tough heads like Crowmauler or Cave Mother, this will instead blind them. Blindness is pretty weird, but to summarize, the turn it lands, the head's accuracy is reduced by 75%. At the end of the turn, all body parts lose 75% accuracy. This includes the head, so Crowmauler's peck and Cave Mother's one-tooth bite have negative accuracy, and will literally never land. A lot of attacks like Crowmauler's Maul hit automatically regardless of blindness. And that covers the normal spells, but what if I told you there were a lot more spells? Spells that are secret, and can only be learned through side quests. Almer has 3 secret spells. Simple transmutation is pretty simple. You spend 15 mind to turn a water vial into a wine vial, or if you have a moldy bread, you gain 2 more moldy breads. Since wine vials heal 40 mind, you can turn a mind profit off this spell. Walk on Water lets you walk past the salmon snake pond. That's it. That's all it does. Despite its alleged 10 mind cost, it's free and you don't spend mind to use it. To get both of these spells, get the maps off Isaiah by buying them for 50 coins or just murder him for them, then head into Mahabra Past. Dig where the first map indicates, and you'll get them both from a chest. 3 Shadow Men are shown walking, and each plus is 1 step apart, so the pluses clearly represent 1 step. You see a large plus underneath 5 small pluses, so the treasure is 5 steps down from 3 vases, and an indeterminate distance north from a pig. The eye of a pig is a plus, showing that its face is at least one step wide, meaning that it's a huge pig. There's a huge pig statue in Mahabra Center Square and a set of vases that matches the map, and it's east of the Shadowmen, just like on the map. So it's pretty clear you're supposed to dig here. Phase Step can only be learned from empty scrolls. It costs 10 mind and lets you teleport 5 tiles forwards. There's also a spell called Greater Phase Step that says it only costs 5, but there's no known way to get it. Sylvian has 2 secret spells, one of which is hard mode exclusive. Demon Seed allows you to turn any fresh corpse, that is, not a pile of meat, into a party member. The party member is only as strong as the girl, though? It's a good way to get free sacrifices for Grogoroth or trade with Pocket Cat. Demon Seed can be found by getting 3 book pages from the Torture Chamber Library, Nosramas' Lair, and the Ancient Passageway in Mahabra. Combine the 3 to learn it. Rebirth of the Beloved is the spell required to get D'Arcy's S ending. It doesn't do anything else. If you want to see how to get it and how to use it, look at my guide to D'Arcy S ending. The last 2 secret spells belong to Grogoroth, and are the 2 strongest attack magics in the game. The first is Chains of Torment. At the staggering cost of 80 mind, you deal 900 damage to one target and afflict it with bleeding. This is enough to kill Salmon Snake in 1 hit. It doesn't deal 700 plus, Wiki. It always deals exactly 900. This is the only way to inflict bleeding outside of Moonless's Bite. Stacking this with Poison and Burn, what Ketsueki called the Trisaster, exhausts anything's hit points in 3 turns or less. Ever wanted to see what happens when you exhaust Nasra's HP or kill the Ghost Knight? Now you can, and you can do it easily. Despite the high mind cost, it is an extremely worthwhile spell. You just have to be extremely judicious in its use. To get it, after defeating the Tormented One, head back to the Sacrifice Chamber in the present and talk to his corpse. He'll teach it to you. It deals piercing damage, so it's no good on ghosts. The final hidden spell is the single best attack magic in the entire game. Combustion. It deals 400 fire damage and has a 60% chance to burn, at 0 cost. Despite the wiki saying otherwise, it doesn't damage your limbs. It's completely safe. Despite dealing less damage in 1 hit than Chains of Torment or Black Orb, it's completely free, which, in my opinion, makes it the best choice. It's essentially Cursed Blue Sin, but deals slightly less damage and burns 10% less often. Yes, the ultimate magic is slightly worse than the ultimate sword, but it has one distinct advantage. Anyone can learn this. Since it's taught from a scroll, you can give it to the girl or Moonless. Give this to Moonless and she'll drop it twice a turn for 800 plus whatever damage you get from the burn status effect, which can pretty easily hit 1800 fire damage around every round for free. Give this to the girl and the White Angel Soul, and she can do the same thing, but you get to control her. To find Combustion, use the Walk on Water spell, or phase, to cross the Salmon Snake Pond, then open the chest in Nosramas' secret lair. You'll get the Scroll of Combustion and the Scroll of Pyromancy trick. And that's every spell in the game, what they do, and why you shouldn't trust the wiki.